Okay, good evening, Facebook. Welcome to our fifth and final chat in our series exploring cultural differences and how they pertain to racism, anti-racism, and also just whatever's been on me and Queen's minds over the last 5 days.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We've broken down a lot of stuff, and I personally can say I've done a ton of learning and reflection and just deepening my connection to this work. I've had some really interesting offline conversations with different people. I wanted to share a comment from one of our viewers. Solara said, I truly appreciate how the philosophical aspects of cultural differences is woven into the discussion. It truly speaks to my soul, which was raised with a strong influence from an Asian culture. So many ahas as I listened deeply. So thank you, Solara, for that comment. Yeah, so tonight we are wrapping it up with me, Leah Murtagh, and my dear friend and soul coach, activist, Queen Wheeler. And so we've kind of been all through all of our sort of scheduled topic areas. And this evening is just a way to bring two things: bring some closure to the container that we've created, and then create a launch pad for the next container that will come out, as well as some avenues for continued learning from Queen. And I'll let you talk more about that. And right, I'm done talking. So now it's your turn.
All right. First of all, thank you again to all of you who have been watching these videos live as well as on the replay. We definitely appreciate your time and your ear. I never take it lightly when people give me their ear, because you could spend your time listening to a lot of different voices, because there are plenty out there for you to listen to. So that you've taken the time to listen to ours, to mine, I appreciate it. And I honor you for that. And my prayer is that it blesses you and helps you in your journey forward. And I'll talk a little bit more about that before this ends. And a reminder to you, those of you who are jumping on for the first time, this is the fifth night. You can catch the replays on Leah's page as well as my page. You could also go to hardconversations.live and you will find the videos. Not only are they going to be uploaded there from this last 5 days, but the first series that I did with Amy Landholt over last week, it was a 7 series, and it was on white people facing race and the myths that uphold racism. So you can go over to hardconversations.live and catch those good discussions, good information. And I will repeat again how we did these series. And I do have another series coming up, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. However, what we did with these series is that we jump on here live, no prep whatsoever, and we have the conversation just like you'll have the conversation at home with your coworkers, with your friends, with your family, what have you, people in the grocery store, because you never know what's going to come up when people get together. You never know what is going to stir in you. And it can be a scary thing. We understand that. That's why this is called hard conversations. But we're having these conversations the same way you would have them at home. Things come, the subject comes up, and we just start talking, sharing from the heart, right? Sure. Allowing ourselves to open up through the interaction, engagement with another human being, right? Allowing our view of the world to expand. Allowing that which wants to come up and show us, hey, this is here and it needs to be removed, allowing that to happen in real time. Again, we don't know what's going to come up when we get in these conversations. Leah definitely don't know what I'm going to say. And she's been hanging in there because I've been getting it in a little bit, right? She's been a trooper with it, right? But I don't know what I'm going to say, just like she doesn't know what I'm going to say. And so that's usually how it happens at home. And people are so fearful around that, fearful of saying the wrong thing, fearful of offending someone. And what we hope to model here for you is a way to have conversation in a way that you share out of your own experience, right? You share from your own knowledge base, not regurgitating what somebody told you, what you think you heard, all of that stuff, but sharing out of your own knowledge base so that you can expand, right? Speaking from your own well versus being a mouthpiece for some other movement or some other this, right? Learning how to speak from your heart so that the other person can see into you, therefore see themselves. So that's what we're trying to do here. The first step always in this journey, listen to me, please, white people, because I know that you're in a unique position right now. Most of you who are listening to us, more than likely, you're drawn to my voice because you're ready to change. You're ready to do something. You've noticed that something is resonating with you, right? You know that something is resonating with you. And you know that regardless of what you call it, whether you call it racism, it or not, it's you no longer need it there because it's holding you back from connecting to others, holding you back from being a part of a movement towards inclusion of all lives, right? Inclusion of specifically Black lives and helping that. And so you notice that something is off. You might not know what it is, right? Well, the first step is always to do your own inner work. Otherwise, you go out there and you bleed on other people, while, as we've been using the example from a paper, a article that a young lady wrote, and I don't have her name, but she described it as, waking up and realizing that you're not in a mall shopping, but you're right in the middle of an ER, and people all around you are hurting and bleeding, and you wake up to it and go to shoving IVs in people's arms. And now you create a mess and you create more for other people to have to come and fix and clean up and all of that. Well, it's easy to do that in this work as well. Your eyes get open a little bit, and then you're off to the races trying to get in on conversations you're not even equipped to have yet, which causes more injury. And then it causes people to get defensive, and then nobody hears anybody.
Or they leave, like it's too uncomfortable and you just leave the work. Like, oh, it's just not worth it.
As another justification for doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So that you could just say, oh, well, I tried. And justify you doing nothing and by blaming it on something else. So we're hoping that, having these conversations will help you to have the conversations at home in a way that is productive. But most of all, having a conversation with yourself in a way that's productive, in a way that changes you, right?
Right.
Because
in your worldview.
I think at some point on one of these, I mentioned the percentages, as far as what the makeup of the United States is, 76% white. Now, listen, Blacks are 13.4%, and we're not even talking about those who are have been wrongfully imprisoned or received some outrageous sentences because of their race. Okay, so we're not even talking about that. We ain't even take them out to 13.4%, right? Okay. So the reason why I'm giving you those numbers is to wake you up to the truth and the fact that you do not need me, Black woman queen, to change what's going on right now.
Right. Yeah.
You are part of 76%. If y'all just get it together, you can change it without help of anybody. If you wake up tomorrow, if the majority of the 76% wake up tomorrow and decide that racism is over,
it's over,
and do something about it, it's over.
Yeah. True.
It's over. So using Black people as an excuse as to why things aren't changing is a farce. It's just another way to get the heat off of you and to excuse your complacency. That's all it is.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in and just share kind of something that I thought was really encouraging and hopeful. And pardon me, but I have like children playing around me, and so if I'm looking away, it's like, oh God. Yeah. But some members of my family have been tuning in to watch some of our discussions. And I had a really nice conversation with one of them today. And they are starting to wake up and look at some of their behaviors, their thoughts, their actions, and they're holding accountability for each other. Like, oh, I just did the thing, didn't I? And then the other one will go, yeah, you just did the thing. And so that was within 24 hours of watching, or like not even 24 hours of watching a discussion, of watching one of these discussions. We've had over 2,300 views cumulatively of our talks this week, which just blows me away. I feel really grateful for that. And I think it's really like the time is ripe finally. And so my hope is that the momentum that we're generating, that you are generating with not only this container, but also the one you had with Amy, and then I think you're doing at least one more.
Yes, at least one more.
Yeah, and then the further work that you're going to be doing in a private group setting. And so I'm just seeing like momentum, and it feels like it has maybe more teeth than optical, than trendy, than some of the other things that we've discussed. And so I'm sharing that as not like, oh, it's over, we've solved the problem, but just like cautiously optimistic that more and more people are being willing to look. And the people in my family are of an older generation who were steeped in like before civil rights, so they grew up pre-1960s civil rights era. And so they're really seeing a sharp contrast to even the soup that they grew up in, and what we're discussing now, and what needs to change, and what they can do, at least to begin with internally, to start making some of those changes. So I just thought that was kind of a cool effect of what we're doing.
It is.
So, yeah,
it is. And I am hopeful that it feels like something changed this time. It feels like it's different than 2016. And for those who eyes are opening right now, there is a large part of those people who in 2016, when we were in this exact position, the same things were happening in 2016. The men being killed by the police, the marches in the street, the vigilante things, all of that was happening in 2016. And I'm noticing that people that in 2016 were saying, well, what was he doing? Or, well, how do we know? Well, we don't know the whole story, even though you just saw it on video. Well, we don't know the whole story. Well, we just need to wait. Those people are now in 2020 saying, hold on, something's wrong here. This isn't right. Right. Yeah. So I am hopeful that with this new wave of people who are opening their eyes, because in 2016, there was a small ripple who opened their eyes, but 2020, it seems to be there's numbers added. And what I'm going to tell you today on Juneteenth, I, for one, and I'm trying to hold my composure and not curse, and not curse, because
cursing is fine on my channel.
I know, but I don't need to do it right now. Not while I'm feeling nuts, right?
All right.
But I do not want, I do not desire, it is not okay, it is not acceptable for you to require more of my people to be murdered for you to decide that enough is enough. That's not cool. It's not okay. It's never going to be okay. I'm not even good with the fact that it was not enough in 2016.
Yeah.
I'm not even good with that. Like, if I think about that hard enough, I would go beyond pissed right now, right? Because now here we are, 2020, having this conversation all over again. It's like, how many sacrifices what must we make in order for a people to decide what right and what life and what love and what compassion and what mercy and what righteousness looks like. Right?
Yeah.
Grappling over things about right and wrong. Like, how many people have to be sacrificed before you learn, or before you understand, or before you can see the difference between justice and injustice? It's like people are saying, "Oh no, wait, let us see. Let me see it again. Do it one more time, and let me see. Hold on, I didn't catch it that time. Can you kill one more? Let's see, because maybe
It's
that was
ridiculous. Yeah.
Could you kill one more? Let's see this. Well, that one was off a little bit. I'm not really sure. That's a little grainy. Okay, kill another one, and let's see. Maybe that was just one. Maybe that was a different kind of situation, circumstance, and it wouldn't have happened under that. So could kill one more. Let's. And my goodness, sacrifice after sacrifice after sacrifice after sacrifice is what it feels, looks, and is like in the United States of America. We have countries all over the world looking at America saying, look at them. The ones who claim to be so righteous, the cops of the world, the ones who come over and kill our people with righteous indignation because they judge us as barbaric and judge us as wrong. And look at them. They kill their people in the street.
Yeah.
Look at how they treat their people. And they say that we have crimes against humanity.
So I want to just kind of take a moment and pause and let that settle, especially for white people who may be feeling super uncomfortable right now and like, I'm out. Like,
oh, that's cool.
Because this is too uncomfortable.
For those who would feel, for those who need that or they're out, they're going to be out anyway.
Right,
because
I get that.
Those who are ready now, we don't have to coddle and hug and beg and say, oh, you're a good person. Those who are ready now, they understand it's out for all of that.
Right. And what I meant was, let's take a minute and let all of what you said fully sink in and feel.
It's okay. I'm going to give you a lot more to feel. You don't even have to let that sink in because it'll be enough that as it comes. Y'all will get the look, understand. I know. So we've been going over the difference in the cultural differences.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're asking for. Right?
Okay.
I totally understand what you're asking for, and intentionally, on purpose, not giving it to you right now.
Okay.
Right? Why? Because that's how important and right now this is.
Okay. Yeah.
See what I'm saying? That's how important right now it is. Because what I just said is, because the truth is, probably in the time that I stop and allow you to take it in, somebody somewhere getting jacked up by a cop right now.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
White man who has deputized himself to guard a neighborhood or guard a street or guard a, right? Somebody somewhere. And we may see it on the news tonight. we may not. We may see it on the video. We may see it on YouTube. We may see it on, right? So the ability to your desire, your need, and I'm all about self-care. I'm all about, caring for self. So I'm not telling you to neglect self-care, right? But what I am trying to get across to you is the urgency, and that your self-care, if it is another way of doing nothing and justifying it, then that's not self-care. That's deflection. That's procrastination. That's just excuses is what it is, right? So there is an urgency. Like, we don't get to say, oh, hold on, let us take this in. Let me tell you something. 2016, they hit me upside my head so badly, because every time I said, oh, hold on, let me take this in, there was another one. And then I go, hold on, let me take this in. And there was another one. No different than what just happened. George Floyd. And we were like, okay, hold on. Here we go. Let us take this in. And boom, there's Mr. Brooks. Hold on, let us take this in. And boom, you hear about the lynchings in California. Hold on, let us take that in. Boom, there's another lynching in
Akron, Ohio.
Lynching, right? A freaking lynching.
Yeah.
Like these lynchings, while Congress is over there haggling over a lynching bill. Is it the Senate or Congress? I don't know which one of them fight, but would not pass a lynching bill, anti-lynching bill. And we literally got people still being lynched in 2020.
Yes.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. To include lynchings that have been done and police protection.
True.
But ruled as a suicide, curiously. So yeah. So we don't get to take a breath. And so you just got to experience what that's like.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fair.
So what are we talking about tonight?
Well, actually, I didn't pull up the table because we're kind of all out. We did Monday was axiology. 2 was axiology, meaning how do I derive meaning and identity in my cultural worldview. Epistemology was how do I know a thing? I think am I getting that right? I think. Then we had logic. What's the way that I learn? And then we had process, which is like, what is the way that I do? That's kind of those. So that's my perhaps oversimplification of all of that terminology. Is that also kind of how you understand just the broad terms of what we discussed? Are we on the same page there?
Yes. I had brought it up and then it went back down. But so one of the things that
tonight,
we wanted to
tonight, I was just going to say your title for tonight was, oh gosh, I have to go back to the
title
thumbnail.
Cover everything. That title covered everything. So whatever I would have said, would say tonight would fall up under that.
Yeah, and I think it was just like cultural racism and whiteness. Yep. I think was the umbrella that you gave for this evening.
Yes, it is
racism and whiteness.
Yeah, racism and whiteness. I was trying to find. Man, I closed out the form, but one of the things that we were talking about before the wrap up is what it looks like when it's out of balance.
Yes.
Okay? So when you have all of those things out of balance, and out of balance means that there is nowhere in there for your, can you pull it back up
Yeah, it might
again?
take me just a second.
Okay, pull it back
But
up
yes,
again. I lost
if
my
you want to
screen.
keep talking, then I will let you know when I've got it visible.
Okay, so one of the things that we learned is that there are four. Okay, there's four. Oh, there it is.
Worldviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's four world views, and when I'm gonna read over them, because what I want you guys to see is that when you have all four, we have balance.
Yep.
Okay, so we have the European and European American. The axiology is member to object. The highest value lies in the object, meaning the acquisition of the object, the ownership of something. So no wonder the owning of people, the owning of land, the owning of, it's the acquisition. Let's go take it, right? Colonization.
Yeah.
Cognitive is one knows through counting and measuring. Give me more. Let me count. This is mine. I have this many. You have that many. All that counting and measuring. The logic is either or, either us or you.
Either right or wrong. Either,
going to the extreme, either or, right? And then the process is with technology. All sets are repeatable and reproducible. So it's the sameness over and over again. Sameness over and over again. Sameness, repeatable, reproducible. Sameness over and over again. African American, African, Hispanics, and Arabs. The axiology is member to member. The highest value lies in the interpersonal relationships between persons. It's belly to belly, right? It's belly to belly. It's me and you. The epistemology, effective. One knows through symbolic imagery and rhythm. Symbolic imagery and rhythm. So when we see a thing, right, it means something. We see in symbols. So when that cop's knee was on George Floyd's neck, that's a symbol to us that speaks about how we are thought of, what we are believed to be. It's a symbol that tells us a story, no different than all of the going on right now about Aunt Jemima and being on a syrup bottle. The symbol, it's the symbology, right? It was, and for those of you who are arguing over that, go back and look, because it's Black people and white people arguing over that. Go back and look at the original, and you will see the black face and the lips all big and red, all of that. They've just toned it down over the years, but that is symbology. They put a symbol so that white people could see Black people as in a certain position, as a certain way. And to continue that story going on. So logic is the union of opposites. Remember, we use yin yang, meaning we need both light and dark to balance things out. And then the processes, all sets are interrelated through human and spiritual networks. We're all connected. So if one is down, we're all down. Like if one is up, then we're all up. Right? There is no one affects the other. There is no way to get around that. So racism is institutionalized and it's put into these structures. But guess what? It doesn't stay in the structure. It affects everybody. There's no way to compartmentalize it. If it affects me, tomorrow it's going to affect you. If I'm getting killed today, tomorrow you're getting killed. Right? So there's no getting away from that. Then you have Asian American, and Polynesian. Member to group. The highest value lies in the cohesiveness of the group. What are the group needs? Epistemology. One knows through striving towards the transcendent. I can't see it. But anyway.
Transcendence. One knows through striving towards the transcendence.
Oh, the transcendence. The logic. The objective world is conceived independent of thought and mind. Good. Process. All sets are independently interrelated in the harmony of the universe. Again, interrelated, harmony of the universe, yin yang. All things have its place. Native American is the fourth group. Member to Great Spirit, that's their axiology. The highest value lies in oneness with the Great Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Epistemology, inspirational. One knows through reflection and spiritual receptivity. Logic, great mystery, like the medicine wheel, 4 directions, plus 3 elements above, at, and below. The process, all sets of life are interrelated through mineral, plant, human, and spiritual networks. Did you get that? We have 4 different groups.
Yeah.
Interrelated was used in 3 different groups. How they process.
Yeah.
Interrelated was used in 3 different groups. 3 of the groups said that we are all one. We're interrelated. And only by being interrelated is there harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Right? However, none of those 3 groups are in control. They are not the ones who are controlling the narrative.
Right. They're not the dominant worldview.
They're not dominating the economics, nothing like that, right? However, technology is. Remember, honey, technology is guns.
Yep.
Technology is guns, and guns have shut down all 3 of those groups. We come with the Bible, we follow up with the gun.
I think that should be on a bumper sticker.
Yeah, right. We come in with the Bible, we follow up with the gun. So technology ruling over all the groups. Whereas if you pay attention, if you really took in what I just read through, what you realize is we need all 4. That's a balanced world.
Yeah.
We need the technology, right? We need the
entuology.
Thank you. The cosmology and the transcendence. Yeah. We need all of those 4 things in order to be in balance. There's room for all of us. And if we had all 4 of those, we'd be in balance because technology wouldn't take over. Therefore, there wouldn't be all the killing and the disconnection, right? There wouldn't be all of that because you have 3 groups to balance that out with interrelated, interconnected connection to each other, to the earth, and to spirit. We have all 3 to balance out technology. But unfortunately, in this world right now that we're living in, that's not how it's set up.
Right.
And so just like I said before, I think last night, even if you don't do it for me, if you don't do it for so that the next Black man is not murdered, you should be wanting to do this for yourself, for your children, because you don't want to live in a world like this. You don't want to live in a world where you're disconnected from people, where you're disconnected from Great Spirit, where you're disconnected from the group, where you're disconnected from the rhythm of the earth, right? And
I'm sorry. I just wanted to break in a tiny bit. One of my just dear friends and respected former colleagues, Cleo Griffin, has shown up in the conversation.
Hey, Cleo.
He's in Memphis. And it really, like, just having his presence here in the conversation brings up, I'm just like, as you're talking, I'm just kind of letting that sink in of like, God, yeah, just the white worldview has so much disconnection and so much, I don't know, like just bootstrapping, we've taken this independence streak of ours to such a harmful extreme.
Mhm.
And I'm just trying to think, like, so I'm hurting about that, right? I'm just feeling really sad about that. But then B, I see his name and I'm reminded about our whole team when we opened up this gym, like a bunch of us all opened up this gym and like we at that time we were all like the middle managers of this place, and there were several I would suggest there were several at least semi-traumatic kind of events that we all had to work through together as a team, and it has locked us together in friendship and comradeship. Like I would almost, again, it might not be the best metaphor, but it's almost like we were in a battle together. How like battle comrades just have each other's backs forever. And that's how I feel about that group of people. And I was just thinking, how do we take that and apply that same level of connectedness to what you and I are talking about, to our anti-racism work, to our,
It's pretty hard.
speedy dismantling.
The reason why it's pretty hard is because of to connect that way is you said it. You said you as a group went through some pretty traumatic things, and it was like being battle buddies, right? Mm-hmm. This is a real thing. You know, I'm in a military town. My husband's in the military for over 26 years, so we're a military family. My clients are military, so we know about what it's like for people to be in battle and how that endears them to each other, because they literally depend on each other to live, right? You said it. You guys were in a traumatic things that caused you to bond together. Well, you can have it one of two ways. Either you could choose to just say, look, we're just about to be battle buddies without having to be in a battle.
Right.
Or you can wait till white people start getting killed and your sons and daughters are killed. So you can have it either way. Now, I would suggest, based off of being in a community who is constantly grieving and watching our people being murdered in the streets, do not go that way. I don't wish that for you. I don't wish that for you at all.
Yeah.
Right. However, again, if I'm getting killed today, you are going to get killed tomorrow. Trust that.
Say more.
Meaning this. And it's not, and I'm sure a lot of people would love to take this as, oh, that means that Black people are going to get mad and come kill us. Nope, it sure doesn't. It means that the same people killing us going to kill you.
Yeah, okay.
Because you didn't stop them, right? Yeah. That's like a snake coming into your house and you figure, oh, get that snake out, and you just throw it out. You don't cut the head off, you just throw it out, and then it goes in and bites your neighbor. And then when your kid is out in the yard, your child gets bitten. But you thought you were safe because, hey, it ain't in my house.
Well, right? And here's the example. I think we might have mentioned this the other night, but here's like the big example of that is the opioid epidemic. So the systemic racism that we have in this country, which denies the pain that Black people feel when they go visit the doctor, when they go to the hospital, when they have surgery, whatever, and doctors don't prescribe opioids to Black people, but they do, in exponentially more numbers to white people. And now we have white people dying from opioid addiction. So like that is like, that's not in the future. That is right now. It's right now. It's not bullets, but it's killing from systemic racism. White people dying because of systemic racism.
I wish I could. I wrote this. There was a. I wrote this post one time, and it very much talked about that, about how it was almost like a poem. So I wish I could find it. When you just mentioned that, it made me think of it. But as I was, and this was 2016 too.
That
2016.
was a pivotal year for you.
Girl, 2016 almost took me out of here. Let me tell you
I'm
something.
glad it didn't.
I felt like it almost took me out of here. I tell you what, my life looks a lot different. My sphere looks a lot different than what it did in 2016. It did. Yeah, there was a lot of change, a lot of change. But one of the, I'm kind of clicking through to see if I
Sure.
see it. But
oh, Amy says that she was your silver lining in 2016. Dang.
Okay. She was, listen, she came out of 16 intact. So that tell you something.
Yeah.
That tell you something. I can't find it right now.
Okay.
However, I know I have it somewhere, but I just can't find it. And it's probably a good thing that I can't find. I mean, if I can't find it, that means I don't need to find it right now. But anyway, I just remember sitting, and it's like, I know it was ancestral, girl, because it came from somewhere deep within and came out. And I even told people before I started posting it, I was like, because we were back and forth in conversation, and it was all of this stuff. We got to wait and see all the crap that people were saying.
Yes.
Just to not have to do anything or not have to face
stories.
And boy, this thing came from deep within and came out, and it talked about that. The words that came out were something like, "We told you that they were bringing drugs into our neighborhoods, and you didn't listen. Now your children lay dead in the street off of your opioids."
Yeah.
Right. We told you.
Who posted that?
We told you that they were raping our women and mistreating them. And now your daughter shout, "Me too."
You this was, you either reposted this. I know I've seen this from you recently because I read it.
Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah, I probably sent it to you at some point when I saw it. But I mean, it got down in there about all of the things that you had more than ample time to recognize because it was being done to Black people, thinking that you were going to stay arm's length, and now you suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
Now it has come to your door. And so just like the drug crisis, that when you want to turn your head and say, "Oh, well, Black people are on drugs and they need to pull themselves up," when you don't know good and well, you don't know no Black people. Now today there's a couple, right? Oprah. Okay, I'll give y'all Oprah and basketball, because that's what people are gonna say, right? But Oprah ain't flying in no cocaine, okay?
Right.
That I know of. So we know good and well that Black people were not flying in on their private planes, cocaine, or on their private boats, cocaine. We know that. So how in the world did you think that it got into our neighborhoods? Where do you think it came from?
Yeah.
Right? So flooding our communities with drugs and saying that it's your fault that you're taking it. Right? Now you've already set up the economic system in such a way that and made a project, right? A project to try to a secondary project to keeping you on the plantation. Okay, we're going to move the plantation. We're going to call it a project now, We'll keep them all there. We'll deprive them of economic opportunities. So now you've created like a true scarcity,
right,
with no opportunity to do anything about it. And then you pour drugs in there.
Yeah.
You pour drugs in there. You bring in drugs and bring in drugs. And so we had opportunity to look at that and say, something's not right. Let's stop this. Let's change this, right? But you didn't. So now your children are hooked on opioids. Your wives are hooked on opioids. Housewives hooked on opioids. Teenagers, opioids. Kids, housewives taking Ritalin, taking Adderall, taking, right?
Yep.
All of these designer drugs, but hooked on drugs.
Yes.
Our people went to prison. But all of a sudden now, that it hit the white community, what's important is mental health is important, and recovery centers are important. Now, when it was in the Black community, jails were important. We need to build more prisons.
Crime bills were important.
Right? Reagan comes out and says, 3 strikes, you're gone, right?
Yeah.
Privatize prisons so that we can get rich off of that too, off of that plantation. And then we also have free labor again.
I just want to call out a resource here. And Amy, if you're still here, maybe you could type this in the comments. The documentary on Netflix, 13th.
Oh yeah, 13th. Absolutely.
Tells the story that you're telling in great detail, with great intricacy. And it was, when I watched it, I was like, whoa, this is stuff you don't learn about in high school.
Right.
So just thank you, Amy. Yes, there it is. 13th documentary on Netflix.
And what I'm trying to convey here, and yes, you can go watch 13th and get some good information on history and how things work. But what I'm trying to convey to you is this. You can either wake up and change your world now, or wait till it gets to your children and when it comes to your door. Because just like the drugs have come to your door, and your children are now on opioids, and your wives are now on opioids, and you've got all of these drugs in your community, these designer drugs that are prescription drugs, and you got all these rehab things, and now everybody needs mental health and all of that kind of stuff. Just like that has come to your door, everything is going to come to your door.
Well, it kind of already has. I mean, just like you said, the Me Too, the drugs, the environment, global warming, climate change, all of that is as a result of the imbalance worldview that doesn't include the connectedness.
The choice not to do anything about it, because
the perpetuation. And so I would
us. So there you go. But now it does.
And I would put that right back on the like the imbalance, the shadow of our process of technology. All sets are repeatable and reproducible. We keep churning out the same stuff and expecting different results, which is, of course, the definition of insanity.
So I'm going to hit on something that I hit on last night with this. I think it's a farce.
Okay.
I think that you have the large populace of white people have been brainwashed to believe that they are untouchable by these things, even when they're being touched.
Yes, I agree with you.
It's like, I know that my kids are on opioids and I'm on opioids, but I'm not on crack. Like, come on now. But I'm still better than the black man, right? I'm still better than that. I'm not a drug addict. I
Can
have
I?
a problem. I'm not a drug addict like the crackhead. That's for Black people. I have gone through trauma, and therefore I turn to drugs, and therefore I need help and rehabilitation. And it's a compassionate kind of thing. And I'm a victim of my circumstances, which is different than somebody Black who is on drugs and who, so the brainwashing to allow you to think of yourself as different, as better than, has trapped you more so than anybody. Because it's one thing to know as you look around that I'm in a bad situation. My neighborhood is suffering, my people are suffering, we got drugs going. Now that's one thing. But when you can sit in your decent house and halfway decent neighborhood and still look around and think, oh, but I'm superior, that's like that. Now you got a problem. When
So that is,
you don't even recognize that we have a problem. We have a problem. Our kids are on drugs. Our girls are being sex trafficked, not as much as Black and brown girls, but nevertheless, it's in your community as well. But you still are brainwashed to believe that it's not at your house yet.
It's so similar to the addictive process, the chemical or the behavior addiction process, the denial. And so you can have a person, like maybe I am a weekend binge drinker, let's say. Okay. So I'm an alcoholic, but my Uncle Nick over there drinks every night. And so because my addiction doesn't look exactly like his, and I can judge his to be worse, even though I lost my job, even though my husband left me, even though DHS came and got my kids because of my weekend drinking, I'm still not an addict because that person is worse. Right. So my world is falling down around me, but I'm not as bad as that person over there. Like that is the hallmark of addiction denial. And until you can throw your hands up and go, I surrender, my life is unmanageable.
Yeah. I really don't think that white people have waken up to how racism has affected them.
Yes.
It is a high price to be in a racist society. And we see the price. Yes, my people are suffering, but we know it. Your people are suffering, and y'all gonna go out still thinking y'all good. Your leg chopped off, your arm hanging off, your eye hanging out, and you still think you good. Like
I'm fine, good.
Like exactly when
nothing to see here. Yeah.
What needs to happen, right? What needs to happen for you to see, feel, understand what condition you are in?
Do you think it's happening now?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because the thing is we're right fresh off of sacrifice of men.
Yes.
Blood sacrifice, right? This country survives off of blood sacrifice. So at first, everybody's up in arms because, oh my God, that's barbaric.
Right.
And then
we're not racist.
Right. And then it mellows out and we go back to life as usual. So we'll see. Right now it's still fresh. I know that I don't have a choice. Well, actually I do to an extent. And that's another conversation. There is Black people who get to a certain economic status often will some intentionally sometimes and sometimes unintentionally put on the white lens.
Sure.
Right. And begin to and that this white lens is magical,
Right.
because
Yeah.
you put it on and certain things disappear.
Right. They're rose-colored lenses.
Yes, certain things
Mhm.
disappear. Certain things you don't see.
Mhm.
You can afford not to see, because you
Mhm.
can move to a place where you can ride for miles and never see a person laying on the street.
Sure.
Right? You can buy your way out of having to see, feel, smell, taste any of what's going on in the world, right? You don't have to smell the trash, because you throw your trash 3 miles away and let them people smell it so that your place can stay clean.
Mhm.
And so we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. I am hopeful, but only you can determine that. Only the 76% can determine that. I'm a part of the 13.4%. I don't have that kind of power.
Yep.
I don't have that kind of power. But like I said, y'all can wake up tomorrow and say, all right, we done. We're done with this.
Mhm.
And everything can change. Everything can change.
Yeah.
And guess what? We're not going to stop you. If you want to do it, we will not fight you. We're not going to stop you. Go ahead. We'll get out of your way. Right? We will get out of your way and let you handle it.
Okay.
And we'll support you. We'll support you, but you got to do it.
Yeah. You have to do the work. I have to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do the work.
And
so,
again,
go ahead.
Let me just say right quick, when I talk on behalf of Black people, or I talk from a Black perspective, and she says we, and she's talking from white, I've said it. If I said it one time, I've said it many, and that is, stop taking things so personal.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And just take ownership of it. And that's what we're doing. That's why I say my people. That's why I say we. I know that we are, we vary as people. We don't all think alike. We don't all talk alike. We have many things in common, because we are a culture and a community. I know that there are Black people who think different than me, who would probably say opposite than me. But guess what? I'm taking ownership is what I'm doing. I'm not taking it personal. I'm taking ownership and speaking from that ownership of, we got a problem. I want to be part of the solution. Now let's talk about it, make a plan, be strategic, and get into action. I'm just taking ownership of it. I ain't taking it personal. It ain't mine per se personal, but I'm taking ownership of it. And that's what white people have to do. You ain't got to take it personal. Take ownership of it though. And get this stuff done. Aren't you proud? I said stuff. I said
well
stuff.
done, you.
Yes.
So as we kind of come up on our 8 o'clock time frame, taking ownership of it, continuing to stay in the work, continuing to stay in when things get comfortable, just keeping my ass in my chair when that's required, or my feet on the ground when that's required, but not fleeing the scene because it's just uncomfortable. I was talking to another white person about that today, and what to do when you don't want to watch the movie, or you don't want to listen to the podcast or whatever, because it's too, like, there's the guilt feels, like overwhelming. Anyway, I won't go into the detail of that conversation, but we unpacked some stuff there, and just talked about that. I think I want to remind people, my people, white people, that guilt and shame are paralyzing. And the quicker you can just go, okay, it's a thing, I own it, now let's get busy, the better. And the guilt and shame may not leave you, but if you can just understand that they're going to exist, and then still move forward anyway, I think that is helpful. I think that starts to give some momentum and some traction, because if you just stay in the guilt and the shame and the discomfort, you're just going to run away, or you're going to stay frozen, or it's, you'll make an excuse, or whatever.
We'll work through guilt and shame too.
In your
Yes, because
group.
I'm gonna again. I'll I have a program. We're going to be doing a
Yeah.
31-day program
Yeah.
in
Talk
July,
about that.
right?
In July. So that's going to
Yep,
start in
July 1st
July.
through July 31st.
Okay. July 1st through July 31st.
July 1st through July 31st. If you want to get on the waiting list, please email me at queen@queenwheeler.com. Amy, please type that in for me. Queen@queenwheeler.com. Until then, let me just go over that program a little bit. So this is a program for white women who are ready to go on this journey. Now, the purpose of starting this journey with me on this 31-day program, this 31-day challenge, is because the tendency is that as soon as you start feeling a little guilty and your eyes are opening a little, you end up blowing up your life. Meaning you start preaching to your brother and y'all going at it because he don't agree, and you know, all of this stuff, and you create all this drama in your life that's all you focused on, which helps me none.
Yeah, doesn't really.
Again, I'm taking ownership.
Anything.
When I say it helps me, I'm talking about my people. When I even say that, I'm thinking by the time you do all of that, another Black man is killed, right?
Yeah, or several.
You're arguing with your family about who's right and who's wrong, and who vote for who, and whether it's godly or righteous and all of that stuff. We don't have time for that. Like, we've been waiting on y'all to get through those discussions for a long time, right? And we have a laundry list of names that have been of people who have been sacrificed while we've been waiting. So the purpose of this program is to help jumpstart you on the journey so that you do it in a strategic way where you don't blow up your life, right? But you do your own inner work to get you to the point to where then you are safe to go out and do the work.
Yeah.
Right. You're safe to go out and be an activist. You're safe to, right, because you're not going to be bleeding all over people. You're not going to be needy and you know, wanting
cookies
Black to teach you, so you know, all of the stuff.
Yeah, or performative, like, hey, look at me, I'm doing this thing because it's cool.
Right. And then you end up making more work for everybody because you out there doing something ridiculous, but it made sense to you.
Right. Yeah.
You, nobody else but you, but it made sense to you, right? Shoving IVs in people's arms with no kind of training. You ain't washed your hands, like just all kinds of stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Giving people advice when you just woke up yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So, oh my God, my husband gave me a good analogy today, and I forgot what it was. It was so good.
I bet it was a gem too. We're all gonna miss out.
Good. Dang. Oh, he said, this is what he said.
Okay.
He said, it's like it's like you didn't just had cataract surgery and you trying to jump in the car and drive. Like, you just got your cataracts removed.
Good idea.
And you jumping in the car trying to drive people somewhere. Come with me. Jump in this car, come with me. I'll take y'all. No, that ain't how this works. That's not how any of this works.
I love that so much.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh my God.
That was a good one. So anyway, starting July 1st, 31-day challenge program.
And this will be online, right?
Yes. And so you'll have 31 days. You'll have some study to do, right? I'll have some reading for you to do. We will go have a live group once a week where I will be in there facilitating. We'll discuss some things. We'll work through some things. You know, my my profession is as a coach. So this is what I do full time. And my books are full. So this is what it's not something that I say that I do or aspire to do. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And so I will utilize those skills and that training to help you do your inner work, right? To become congruent enough for you to be safe out in the world. And, you know, that this safe house is what I'll call it.
Okay.
this halfway house, right? Because it's like you have been on drugs somewhere.
Right.
You in the mall shopping, but you in the middle of an ER. Like,
Right.
you know, you got to be on drugs to be in the middle of an ER, and you think you in the mall. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell you on, right?
So you're breaking through your denial. You're like,
Right.
there's a problem. I surrender. Like I'm admitting
Now
I'm
you go
powerless.
Now you go to a halfway house,
Yeah.
where you can work on getting that stuff out of your system and stabilizing, right?
Yeah.
Where you come to understand how it works in you, through you, how it has affected you, you know, how deep it is, how you know how deep it is. Because as we use with the pool analogy, we're all born into this pool. So it's not a matter of, are you wet? That's ridiculous to ask yourself that. But what we know is you may not be as wet as your great 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 grandfather, but you sure as hell not dry.
Right.
So we'll be able to look at, okay, now what tools are you gonna use? What tools work for you? That's the towel. What tools work for you to dry you off? And then we can look at, okay, now what is it? Let's get a new suit of clothes and make sure that they fit properly. Make sure it represents you properly, right? What are you doing? So, and I'll facilitate you through all of that so that you can go through this without blowing up your life, and go through it in a strategic way. Now, why is that so important? It's important to me because, as I said before, the faster you can handle your shit, I said it, the faster you can handle your shit and get it together, the less sacrifices have to be made before
the quicker
change
people stop dying.
Right? The quicker you stop sacrificing these Black men, women, and children, the faster you can get through this. And so doing it this way strategically, because I've said it once, I've said again, this is psychological warfare. This isn't just about marching in the streets. This thing has legs, and it's in systems and systems of systems, right? So if it's all out in systems like that, imagine how it is working in here, because these are systems too. These are systems too. The emotional body, that's systems too. And this is connected to that. So how is it pulling on and controlling and all of that stuff? So we'll work through all of those things. Again, July 1st through July 31st is when it's going to be. You can email me at queen@queenwheeler.com. And I think Amy put it in the comments for us. Until then, please go to hardconversations.live to listen to all of the videos from the first series, and then from this series, and then you will see us on the next series. I'll post that. Leah will post it. Amy will post it. So you'll see when I pop up with that next week. And we'll continue the conversation. But please go ahead, because I only have a limited amount of space, because with this kind of work, we don't want it to be a heck of a whole lot of people. So I have to limit it to 25.
Okay.
Now 25 is going to include me. So I only have space for 24 y'all. So there's only space for 25 in the room, because this work is so deep and delicate. So we have to have space for everybody to be able to process and all of that and feel safe, and don't not feel like they are overlooked, and where people can't hide.
Yeah.
You know, because in a large group, people can hide, or they can be overlooked, or they can be overtalked, or what have you. So 24 of you, and the list has already started. So yeah, just email at queen@queenwheeler.com. Make sure that you watch the videos, continue to watch the videos over the next couple of weeks until we get started. All right.
Yeah. And in the meanwhile, if you lose track of any of these links, and of course, those of you who follow my feed, you know how to get in touch with me. I will be the liaison or conduit to get you where you need to go. If you want to hook up with Queen or any of the other conversations and discussions that we've had so far. So just know that when you raise your hand to say I'm ready,
it's going on and popping.
The work is there for you. Yeah.
Oh, it
On
is.
and popping.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, and I'm gonna tell you, y'all know I'm direct, but I'm also compassionate. Like I have a healthy respect for what it is for a white person to go through this work, because oftentimes it's not just about, let me, please hear me when I say this. I understand that it's not just about you coming to terms with racism and how it lives in you or affects you. I understand that this has to do not only with that, but whether or not you and your parents are going to get along anymore, or can have a civilized conversation, or whether you and your boss, or how it's going to be on your job now, or how it's going to be, because it shifts a lot of things in your life.
Or your partner even.
Yeah, or even your partner. Like, you breaking ranks, and that's no small thing. So I have a healthy respect for that, and we're gonna treat it as such, right? And that's another reason why it's important to be in some type of halfway house, to get yourself together and get a game plan and be strategic, so that you can be useful in this work, without blowing up your life and without causing so much drama that you are of no use. So it's, if you're at all, and listen, if you're a spiritual person, please come. If you if you're a religious person, please come. And the reason why I call them out is because I know that there's a lot of conflict there. There's a lot of conflict. There's, once you start putting in relationships with yourself, how you see yourself, and being under threat of seeing yourself as less than what you thought yourself to be yesterday, that's scary, right? Having to face that relationship with others, wondering how other people are going to relate to you now that you're talking different and talking about these things after before you were talking with them, like them. And relationship with deity or relationship with spirit, trying to reconcile. Is it in line with what I've been learning religious wise? Will my spiritual family agree with me? Will they think that I'm now being led astray? Will they, have all these judgments? So listen, I have a healthy respect for what you're going through. And although I have a healthy respect for what you're going through, hell, you still need to go through it.
Yeah, you still got to do the work.
You still need to go through it. I got a healthy respect for it, but nevertheless, you need to get this shit together, because we've got people being sacrificed out there. This is life or death for people. You showing up is life or death. Please hear me when I say that. And so please, Queen at queenwheeler.com. I see you over there. Thank y'all for hanging in there with us. It's been fun. It's been fun, Leah.
And it's been,
something like that anyway, right?
No, it's been really good. And I'm here. I'm here for all of it. I'm here for the comfortable and the uncomfortable and the challenges and the triumphs. And
And listen, y'all, if she's still saying, if Leah is still showing up and she's on this call with me, if y'all knew, if you only knew what the last year, what she's had to deal with in this work, and the challenges that I've put her under. Yeah. And she's still showing up.
Still here. We're still here. Yeah.
Then y'all can definitely show up.
True. Yes. You can. You can.
It's not can. It was for Leah.
And my message is you can do this, and it doesn't mean that you show up and feel force fed or you have to swallow every idea. Or it's not that. You show up. You just show up in a space, and that's it. If you're showing up with openness and willingness, that's what you start with.
Yeah.
That's what you start with.
That's
And
all
that's
I ask
all.
you for. That's all I ask you for is your willingness, and you show up.
And you build your resilience and your tolerance and your ability to keep showing up as you keep showing up.
That's it.
It's like it just feeds on itself, and it's okay. One of my favorite authors, Glennon Doyle, says we can do hard things, and we can, and we need more of us to understand that.
Yes, just like these hard conversations.
Yeah. All right. Well, cheers to the closure of this container, but also the launching pad for continuing work and continuing learning from Queen and all of the other amazing brown and black authors, podcast directors, movie producers, whatever, that we're starting to hear their voices more. I implore you to keep supporting them, keep finding authors with whom you resonate. There are plenty of them that will speak to you from their brown and black skin in the language that reaches you, that touches you, and that you can come together with. So keep seeking that.
Yes, please do. So I'm with Christy next week, right?
I think, yeah. Have you guys been starting to plan that out?
I'm sure we will this weekend.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll look for it, and I'll post those links.
Yeah, and again, y'all, it literally is. We're just showing up and pick a topic. We're showing up, having a discussion, and that's what we're gonna do in this next series as well. But it will just be different topics. Cool. But it's gonna be good. So
yes, it will. Yeah, it will.
All right.
Thanks, Queen. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good weekend. Happy Juneteenth.
Yes.